Hello and welcome back to the Sekimeiya Spun glass. Now you might realize this is not actually the option that we got left on last time when we encountered our first ending, so to speak, or we died basically. But when I loaded the save state, it actually put me straight after that option, so I couldn't actually choose anything. So I figured we haven't actually seen that option anyway. I think we're in that sort of narrative state where we're already kind of confirmed dead in a way. So we're probably not going to get out of that. But since we haven't seen the option, I figured we might as well just go through it and then it'll put me back at the first option anyway. So let's go back to the attic and lock ourselves in a bedroom. Atsuki's plan was simple. He wanted to take advantage of the distance they'd gained from Sai. Perhaps they could trick him. He thought they were going to continue to run down, so if they went back up, Sai might have thought they'd already turned toward the partitions. In addition, they knew the elevator couldn't be heard if it had arrived at or left the floor one was on. With eyes almost closed, Atsuki waited a few seconds so that Sai would have time to arrive and miss the sound. Meanwhile, he reached into Shirya's purse to grab the attic key and used it to unlock the floor 7 button, which he confidently pressed. But what was really crossing Atsuki's mind? Had that been the plan he'd designed and decided on? Sai must have known the elevator was available, and using it would have ceased the echoing footsteps. At his side, Shirya couldn't help but be confused by the action he'd chosen to take. I hate that it's come to this, but we can't escape from Sai for more than 3 hours. We have to put all our faith in locking ourselves up in a bedroom. By the way, I haven't noticed how that's an @ sign before just now, right this moment. Shirya was speechless at his sudden change, but she couldn't object to him. She decided not to reply and trusted the decision her oldest friend had made to save both of their lives. But it's actually not the decision I've made, I'm just exploring paths here. Up there we'll set the chain and physically prevent the door from opening. Even if Sai has the key, he won't be able to break the door down. In case he enters, we can try to use something to defend ourselves. They had seen Sai's murderous expression and felt how strongly he desired their eradication. Even though the physical demand was high, keeping a chained door from opening was much more reasonable than perpetually running away. The elevator stopped and began to slowly open its doors. The trip had created a great deal of tension that was released when they burst out of it. They were back in the hallway they'd just escaped from, but they'd shifted their goal. They ran, ignoring the turns they'd previously handled with care. They wanted to enter the bedroom, which they began to see as their only salvation. Both open doors were in sight. Only the right one possessed a chain, so they didn't hesitate over which one to enter. Running, the lack of friction between Atsuki's socks and the wooden flooring almost made him trip, but he managed to steady himself. Shirya made her way in first and immediately shut the door as soon as Atsuki joined her. On the left side of the door, the chain began to swing in response to the abrupt slam. As Atsuki hurried to check the drawers, Shirya's trembling arm set the chain, recalling how unreliable it had been in the past. "Do you see the key?" Atsuki remembered. He had left it in the highest drawer of the stand. Yes, he let out a cry of joy when he saw that it hadn't been taken. Their chances of surviving had just drastically increased. But nothing had been settled. While holding the key, the nightmarish sound of a bursting door struck Atsuki's ears. When he turned around, he saw Shirya's body being knocked away. Past the door, the terrifying silhouette of Sai paralyzed Atsuki's mind. The knife was still gripped in his right hand, and as soon as he saw Atsuki's defeated expression, Sai grinned. On the floor, Shirya yelled desperately, but Sai ignored her. He began to approach Atsuki, who stared at him in regret. He hadn't even had time to grab the screwdriver. "Stop!" Shirya cried again, but anything she could say was meaningless to Sai, who was certain of her fate. Atsuki's hands let go of his shoes, and he made his first step backward, inevitably backing himself into the wall. When he made eye contact with his killer, he noticed Sai had a bit of blood in his mouth. Such trivial information had become utterly pointless. Well, you say that in this timeline, perhaps, but he thought that blood might have dripped off him sometime in the past. He made no attempt at putting that information to use. His mind had broken and he couldn't move. He had realized his reckless action had resulted in not only his own death but Shirya's. She placed her hand on the floor and attempted to stand up. Wasting no time, she launched herself towards Sai, whose murderous aura had spoken every needed word. Once again, she was ignored, and instead Sai dashed forward. Atsuki had no time to even react. When he looked down, he saw the knife had pierced through his stomach. So this is how being stabbed feels? Such a ridiculous thought was all that crossed his mind. The sensation surprised him. It hadn't been as painful as he'd expected. But his body crumpled down, unable to keep supporting itself. From a lower perspective, he saw that Sai's face had become even more warped. Behind him, Shiria's broke down. She reached for Atsuki, but Sai did not allow it. Mercilessly, he moved his arm in an arc, drawing a long horizontal cut through Shiria's chest. Inwardly, Atsuki cried in anguish. But Sai frowned. After having instinctively reacted to Shiria's attempt at aiding Atsuki, he looked at his second victim in disbelief. What? He sounded surprised, but soon snapped out of it. Before Atsuki could make a last effort at understanding why they'd had to be finished off like that, Sai jumped back at him and stabbed him a second time. And then a third, and a fourth. All of them felt much more painful, but he couldn't move. You brought this on yourself, you fucking idiot. Those words were received as static noise. An irreversible cloudiness began to fill Atsuki's consciousness, and eventually his brain stopped interpreting the splashes of blood that every stab produced, shortly cutting off forever. Pendulum. Okay, so there's definitely something going on here. I feel like, well, you could theoretically think of it as Sai was always this kind of deranged, I guess, and just, showing his true colors right now. But I feel like there's definitely more going on there. Now, you brought this on yourself is very interesting. Additionally, the you fucking idiot part is even more interesting to me. Because what it implies to me is that Atsuki could have done something differently to not bring this upon himself, to quote Sai. This might just be referring to, you went up to the bedroom, that's why but that's not really, you wouldn't really say it like that. That, in my mind, implies that Atsuki has done something that would make being killed in that way deserved, to Sai's mind at least. And his confusion at Shiria as well is something that is of course interesting, but I don't think we have enough information there really to tell what's going on. We also, I don't think, know really what, let's say which side this is, because, from previous times we've had kind of two sides. And we also know there's two Shirias, so maybe Sai confusing one pair for the other, something like that. I don't know. There's a lot going on there. But let's go back. I think this should put us back at the checkpoint where we stopped last time. Yes. So, back then we tried to enter the elevator. We've seen both of those. Both of those scenarios, even that we can choose after going through that path, lead to certain death. So we'll continue running down the stairs. Entering the elevator was too risky. That was my final conclusion. There was no way Sai hadn't prepared for it. We set foot on the third floor. I glanced at my right and saw the shut elevator. That meant it probably hadn't been disabled, giving off a further feeling of a trap. I saw the bathrooms again as well. We had the opportunity to lock ourselves up in one, but I doubted the inner lock would be able to withstand the force of someone turning a key from outside. Ignoring both options, we continued running forward. Sai had probably been waiting for us inside the first partition of the previous floor, so running next to them was hair-raising. Behind us, Sai's noisy attempts at catching up began to be heard across the whole floor. We had to put the distance between us to good use. When we arrived on the second floor, my limbs began to tremble, pushed harder than I'd ever expected. We should probably go to the event room to see if the Sekimeiya is still there. Shiria didn't react to my words, but we continued to make our way through the floor. There was another reason why the event room had to be our target. If Sai was our only attacker, for as long as we circled in and out of it, we wouldn't be caught. Of course we couldn't do that for the remaining 3 hours, but it was better than putting ourselves in a corner. The final staircase was just ahead of us. We'd begun to slow down, but Sai hadn't been able to close the gap between us. We could hear his footsteps, still descending the previous flight of stairs. When we crossed the door in the middle of the staircase, we saw the floor of hallway A. Without hesitating, we kept running toward the door in the middle. There was another drop of blood on the floor of hallway C. What? It looked recent too. Had someone been occasionally bleeding small drops for 2 hours? I had no time to wonder about it as I pushed open the door in front of us. In the dark room, the covered cabinet appeared camouflaged by the walls. Drawn by its overwhelming aura, I grabbed the bottom of the curtain and lifted it. Really? What do we do? The Sekimeiya was behind the glass. Neither the mysterious Shiria nor Sai had taken it. I tried to open it, which confirmed that our lock was still in effect. Only the key would deliver the Sekimeiya back to us, and Akira or Sai must have had it. And even though another Sekimeiya might have existed, that was no guarantee. We can't keep running away forever, but there's no safe place. I froze, trying to think, but my nerves prevented me from doing so. There was nothing we could do but keep running to escape from Sai. Another Sekimeiya could be somewhere, but we can't enter any of the rooms to find it, or we could be backing ourselves into a dead end. The intense sound of Sai's footsteps hadn't been audible since we'd arrived on the crystal floor. Let's go. I don't know where, but we should at least be in a hallway to anticipate him better. The hallway B door hadn't been closed. We rushed to it, but our faultless action immediately proved to be fatal. There we go. You two are starting to really tire me out. As soon as we tried to leave, Sai's body collided with mine at full speed. I was knocked down and fell by his feet. When his terrifying voice made me look up, I saw the knife we'd been running from, pointed toward me and close to my face. Sai, what the fuck are you doing? I knew I couldn't run away. Behind me I could feel Shiria's trembling legs. She could still have made an escape, but the shaking she transmitted through my back crushed that hope. Tell me, Atsuki, what do you think I'm doing? His face shifted into an unsettling smile while he slowly brought the knife closer to me. Hey, stop! Why do you want to kill us? Us? Don't worry, I was only chasing Atsuki. I'm not gonna be the one to kill you. Do you mean someone else will? Precisely. Shut the fuck up, there's no way she'll die. Oh, I guess you haven't seen it. I thought for sure you had. What? Let me make it clear for you. Shiria's fate is death. She's close to dying, and I will be the cause behind it if I have to be. Unfortunately, you won't get to see it. You brought this upon yourself for being so fucking stupid. The knife seemed to grow bigger as it approached me. Was I truly about to die without understanding anything in that pathetic position? Wait, stop! Tell me at least, why do you want to kill me? I started to use my arms to drag myself backward. Sai followed my movements with his knife, his expression growing lost. Answer me! No, just let him go. He hasn't done anything. You stay right there. For the first time, Sai's voice wavered. Why? Did he realize something? Then he stared at my eyes with the most incensed and serious expression I'd seen on him. I'll ask again. Why do you think? I don't know, that's why I'm asking. I continued to move back and he stopped following me. When I'd separated myself enough from him, I stood up, but I couldn't run away. I'd gotten into the corner of the room, so trying to escape could have been a huge mistake. Are you okay? I nodded uncertainly. Keeping her eyes on Sai, she walked up to me, giving up on her easy way out. Sai's words had made it sound as if he didn't present a direct threat to Shiria, so I didn't immediately tell her to stop. When I looked at Sai with a clearer mind, I saw something of importance that stood out. There was a bit of blood in his mouth. Immediately I associated with the drops we'd found. Why is your mouth bleeding? When did that happen? After looking down for a few seconds, he lifted his head back up, showing that his imposing expression hadn't faded away. Are you laughing at me? What? No. Why? To answer your question, not more than 30 minutes ago. Oh. Is that supposed to mean something? The way he'd said it had made it sound like a hidden meaning had been behind the words. I thought you might have left some blood behind, like that drop for example. I pointed at the floor where the fully dried up drop was. I don't know where that came from, but it's not mine. That has been here for longer than 30 minutes. I thought so. Did you stop trying to kill me? I don't understand what you're doing. Shut up. Unable to feel relieved yet, Shiri and I looked at each other. Had Sai been trying to kill me for something he'd thought I'd done? His murderous aura had previously seemed incredibly determined, but it had greatly faded in response to a few confused words. He looked pensive out of nowhere and glanced around the room. Suddenly, in visible shock, his whole body went one step backward. Did something happen? Atsuki, tell me something. What time do you think it is? Right now it should be around 1740. You're right, my watch says it's 1741, and I'm sure it's correct. Does that tell you anything? I suppose so, but I'm not sure what. The fuck? Did you think I'd say an incorrect time? Do you know where Akaru is? That son of a bitch. No idea. Something happened between you two. You escaped the bedroom together. How did you do it? Try to figure it out yourself. Telling you anything of what I've concluded wouldn't be smart. I don't think Akaru is with us anymore though. He might have escaped. What? Using the Sekimeiya? Yes, most likely. A few minutes after you two left, Akaru came back to the bedroom. Excuse me? Yes, he said he didn't remember having left it, but he disappeared again without unsetting the chain. What the fuck? Don't tell me you believed him. I knew he could try to enter from the storeroom door, but I haven't guarded it the entire time. You think he entered from the outside after having escaped? Still, he vanished and the Sekimeiya is still here. Show me. Shirya went ahead and raised the curtain, which had fallen by itself at some point. As we'd seen, the Sekimeiya was behind the glass. Did you two put it inside? Yes, a long while ago. Was it in the farthest back room in hallway B? B6? Yes. I thought about it again. The origin of that Sekimeiya still didn't make sense. We'd found it inside the drawer of a cabinet. Where? First, it was on the floor. We used it, but when we came back we couldn't find it. Then we found it inside a drawer in the same room. Huh, I see. It teleported there after you used it. I get it. How did you know we'd found it in that room? I just remembered that it could have been there. Wait. I was playing with something and it fell on the keyboard. Was it in this? Yeah. It could have been there. Now let me pass. Okay. What? Move away. You want the Sekimeiya? Do you have the key? Shut up and move away. I couldn't decipher his intent. His voice had changed completely, and he sounded as if we were the present threat instead of him, keeping him away from the Sekimeiya. You just wanted to kill me. Why would we let you use the Sekimeiya? Are you really this dense? I have a knife. That's a fair point. Will you kill us if we don't step aside? Yes. No determination was put into that threat. For some reason, his murderous voice and expression had gone away. Where did you even get that knife? Did you kill Kate and Erina? No, I haven't killed anyone. Don't lie, you have a knife which must have been used to kill Erina. You're trying to trick us, aren't you? You used the Sekimeiya to escape the tower and then you entered again through the storeroom with that knife that you brought from the outside. You traveled from the hallway B room, which is how you knew that we'd found the Sekimeiya there. The state we saw Akaru in, was it your doing? Regarding where I found this knife, I just did. I'm not going to tell you where, but I found it inside this building, poorly hidden. What? And you mean to tell us that we never found it before? Listen, here's a good question for you. I've seen Kate's and Erina's corpses. If I'd killed them, how come there's no blood on my clothes? I was taken aback. He was right. Blood would have splashed onto the killer's clothes after killing both of them, but Sai's were completely clean. Suddenly, a needle pierced my heart when I remembered something. The Shirya who changed clothes. That doesn't mean anything. If you used the Sekimeiya to travel back in time after you killed them, a point in which your clothes were still clean would have been reconstructed, and the stained ones would have disappeared forever. She's right, you could have easily gotten rid of them like that. That's wrong. What is? What you just said is wrong. However, I didn't have to get rid of any clothes as I didn't kill anyone. What exactly are we wrong about? As I said before, telling you anything wouldn't be smart. Were we wrong? About what? His clothes still had very vague traces of the smoke on them. If he had traveled outside the tower and then entered from the storeroom, there would have been no smoke on them. Was that wrong as well? I didn't know how to object. After Kate and Erina had died, it was unlikely anyone had activated the Sekimeiya. How had it appeared inside the drawer? Either it had teleported there, or someone had left it inside. Going off the clumsily shut drawer, the latter sounded a lot more plausible. However, the drawer had still been shut, so nobody could have traveled after leaving the Sekimeiya there. The window for that explanation was very tight. It had to have happened before that point or after the present time if the Sai we were talking to was the result of a travel that hadn't yet happened. In addition, we couldn't rule out the possibility that the Sekimeiya had been taken out of the cabinet, used and placed back inside. Anyway, I wouldn't want to kill you two now since there's more stuff I want to think about. I'd still get out of my way if I were you though. You definitely have the key for the cabinet, right? You took it from the bedroom before escaping. Does that mean that Akiro never had it? It doesn't sound as if you two had a great relationship despite you leaving together. Atsuki, overcome your stupidity and move. Do you want to put her in danger? I don't want to move either. Giving the Sekimeiya to you can't be a good idea no matter what. But I have a knife for the love of God. You were running and scared out of your minds before. Where did your balls come from? At this point, I'm pretty sure that you don't intend to use it. Sai's lips curved into a grin. Then he kneeled and left the knife on the floor. Alright, let's play your game then. What game? You two don't understand anything. You think you do and it's laughable. Right, I don't want to use the knife, because overpowering you physically right now would be a loss. I'll have to go one step further and show you how pathetic your resistance is. Without abandoning his unsettling grin, he dashed out of the room toward hallway B. Huh? I didn't understand anything, but Sai had a plan. Given what had happened the previous time, I hesitated to chase after him, but I immediately realized that was a mistake. To prevent him from running out of her sight, I sprinted toward the door and glanced at the hallway. Before I got there, the loud noise of a door being slammed invaded the entire hallway. When I finally looked, I saw a bunch of closed doors with no indication of which one had created the noise. He's definitely inside one of them. No way he had time to get to hallway C or the lobby. Going off his words, I would have thought that he'd created that noise to lure us out and make us think that he was still in the hallway, but that couldn't be it. The brief window of time he'd had meant that he was definitely in one of the rooms. He must think we'll search for him, but he has something in mind. Do you want this just in case? Shira had picked up the knife from the floor. I understood her proposition, but I declined it. If he wanted to harm us, he would have done so just now. He wants to trick us somehow. But how? He's in one of the rooms, so how would he be able to do anything? His goal was clearly to open the Sekimeiya cabinet, so there is a very simple way. It seems he understands how the Sekimeiya works better than us, and it's still possible another one exists. If he entered the room where he knew the other Sekimeiya was, he could have gone back to the past. Maybe he thought both of us would chase behind him and he could immediately enter the event room from hallway A. That's why it should be fine if you stay here, looking at the hallway. I'll open the doors while you make sure Sai doesn't leave, and nobody enters from the other side. She walked back and closed the hallway A door, making any sudden arrival much slower. Then she nodded, knowing we couldn't just ignore him. Hey, we could. Be careful though. He dropped the knife so that we'd follow him, knowing that we'd never do that if he still had it. He sounded pretty confident, and knowing Sai, he's got some plan. I know. I'll be careful, but he still has to be here. It's important that we find him. Even though he gave it to us, we have his knife. If we find him, we can keep him in one place until we're out of here. She agreed. I stepped out of the room, glancing around me as I put my shoes on. One of the closed doors hid Sai behind it. I was sure about that. Probably shouldn't be. Given the short time he'd had, it was also likely he hadn't gone to any room on the extremes of the hallway. However, I started with those. On full alert, I turned the doorknob of the cleaning room and pushed the door open. The empty space came into view. Still missing the cart that used to occupy much of it, I knew he could have used a Sekimeiya to escape, so I briefly searched around for it. There were some shelves and buckets, but I doubted something as big as a Sekimeiya could have been hidden. However, before giving up, I saw something. Is it the kind of small black thing that Shirya encountered at one point, I think? like ages ago. Oh, a key. Okay, never mind. On top of a shelf, there was a key. Surprised, I jumped to grab it. I opened my hand to see a small key I hadn't seen before, so I put it in my pocket. I don't get it. This room has been searched before with the intention of finding the Sekimeiya, right? How come this key was never found? There was no time to wonder that, so I exited as soon as I determined nothing else was hidden out of sight. The room in front of me, B6, was where we'd found the Sekimeiya. I entered it and looked in every cabinet and drawer. All of them were empty. Then, as soon as I set foot into the staff room, I remembered that a complete search couldn't be performed. What if Sai could open one of the lockers? Wait, no, that's fine. They can't be locked from the inside. Although they're big enough to contain a person, if Sai had the brilliant idea to hide in one, it must currently be unlocked. And if he had hidden a Sekimeiya inside one, he must have unlocked it to activate it. That means that after traveling it would have remained unlocked. I had to try to open every single one. By the way, that's not entirely true. I don't know how high up these drawers go, but considering that Atsuki was able to see inside to see if the Sekimeiya was there, you could position the Sekimeiya in such a way that you can fit a finger through those gaps, because they definitely look big enough for that, and touch it from the outside. I don't know if he'd have the time for it if, you know, Atsuki had followed straight away and gone after him, but Sai could have predicted that that wouldn't happen, whatever. Either way, it's possible. I had to try to open every single one. The higher compartments had 3 narrow slits I could barely put my fingers through. See? Should have just read on one sentence. It's definitely possible. I used them to try to drag the doors toward me, sure that they'd open if they were unlocked. One locker opened. Naomi's. Only her coat was inside, and I made sure its pockets were empty. After that, no more doors budged. Not here either. Unless he used the Sekimeiya and then it teleported itself away, like he said might have happened earlier. I entered the following crystal room, and after the same quick search, neither Sai nor the Sekimeiya had been found inside. From the event room, Shiria let me know that nothing had happened on her end. She was looking at hallway B to prevent Sai's escape while paying very close attention to the door behind her. Perhaps Sai could enter from it at any time, make it to the cabinet faster than Shiria, and then overpower her. However, there was no way that was what he was hoping for, as he'd had that opportunity when he had a knife. Next, I entered room B4. It exuded a sinister aura, exhibiting Naomi's and Erina's deaths. Trying to ignore the sudden heartache, I looked through every cabinet where Sai or the Sekimeiya could have been. As usual, they were all empty. Just 3 more. We have to find something in one of these. I continued by entering the room on my left. At first glance, it was another empty crystal room where nothing of importance had occurred. After I'd looked through every cabinet, that sensation hadn't changed. Yet again, a few spare gems were all I'd been able to find inside them. Nothing changed in the next one. It was full of uninteresting cabinets storing nothing but air and gemstones. There's only one more. Could it be we left the right one for the end? Shiria looked unsure. She was constantly looking behind her while giving Sai no time to escape hallway B. I opened the door and stepped into the last crystal room. Nothing appeared different from the others. To prevent a sudden attack, I'd been getting used to immediately looking behind the doors. That first step was completed without an issue. You shouldn't just look behind or just slam the door as hard as you can against the wall on the other side. You'll notice if there's someone there. Those cabinets were the single remaining places where Sai could have been. Starting from the right ones, I uncovered the lids one by one, progressively narrowing down the last options. And when I opened the last one, it was finally confirmed. Sai hadn't been anywhere. Feeling defeated, I went back to hallway B and rejoined Shiria. I don't get it. There's not much he could have done. You said the Sekimeiya could teleport itself after being used. That might be why you didn't find it. But do you think that would be what he did? I mean, I've searched enough to be sure that he isn't in any of these rooms, but there might be a very good spot I've missed where he could have hidden the Sekimeiya. But why would he do that? Is his goal really to get his hands on the Sekimeiya in the cabinet when he knew where another one was? And was his plan simply to use it, lure us out while he trusted his hiding spot, and enter the event room from hallway A? There's no way, right? Probably not. He must have known one of us would stay here. Yeah, he left his knife behind to make us chase after him, but there's no way he thought both of us would. Do you think he might have had time to go to hallway C or the lobby? He wasn't very fast when he was chasing us, and I doubt he faked his speed just for this. I suppose we can't completely rule it out though, but I didn't hear his footsteps in the distance. Whatever Sai had been planning, we had to stop it. He might have given up on killing us, but nothing guaranteed he hadn't simply held off on it after realizing something. We need to search hallway A, but the lobby and hallway C are a problem. Wait here, watching over this hallway and the other door like you were doing. I'll be back in a second. Okay. I took off toward the lobby. Nobody was there, and I made sure to check that Sai wasn't behind the columns and couch. It was unlikely he had decided to hide in the mechanical room, but I had to look. I opened the door and headed down the stairs. It was going to be hard to conclude that nobody was hiding with the provided light, but I had to do it. At least I felt I didn't have to be scared of sudden physical attacks. After some time, I was able to conclude that nobody was hiding, and I didn't see the Sekimeiya either. I walked back up knowing what I'd do next. Instead of joining Shirya through hallway B, I entered hallway A and opened the door to the event room. I startled her, but she quickly realized it was me. Wait, don't come over. The lobby is empty, and from here I can see hallway A, the event room, and the way to the other floors. Do what I did from the other side. Check the bathrooms and come here through hallway A. If you do that, we'll have successfully isolated this hallway, and we'll be able to make sure nobody enters from floor 2. Alright, that's a good idea. She disappeared from view, walking toward hallway C. For some seconds I did what she'd been doing earlier. Keep track of the event room and the hallway simultaneously. As soon as she appeared from hallway C, I could stop focusing on the event room because nobody could have been behind us. I knew not to lower my guard though, given Sai's evident confidence. I saw her trying to open the elevator door, but it wasn't there. Then she sprinted towards me. He wasn't in the bathrooms. I didn't find the Sekimeiya either. So if he's still on this floor, he has to be inside a room in this hallway. We'll do the same thing then. Shiro came to my side, where she would stand while I entered every remaining room. That was until a sound made us turn around. Alright. What are you doing over there? Searching for me? Next to the cabinet, Sai stood, the Sekimeiya between his hands. He hadn't teleported yet, and he was covering his skin under his shirt. With a smile, he closed the glass and let go of the curtain. What the fuck? What did you just do? Let me make something clear. If you try to approach me, I'll touch it immediately and I'll disappear. Even though I'd go very shortly back in time, that's all I need. All you need for what? You leave the Sekimeiya with us. I don't care about that. I've definitely thought about what I'm doing, don't worry. Even though it wasn't visible, as soon as he'd gotten the Sekimeiya out of the cabinet, it must have started to build up time and energy. I was able to see the cabinet key in his other hand, explaining how he'd been able to get the Sekimeiya out so easily. What's with those faces? Are you that surprised to see me again? Don't be silly. You weren't in hallway B. You probably just traveled from the future and arrived someplace that already investigated. I didn't do that at all. I haven't touched the Sekimeiya once since I last talked with you. Don't lie. You had the other Sekimeiya hidden somewhere and you activated it to go back to the past. Then in the future you'll touch it again and you'll appear in one of the hallway B rooms I just investigated. Maybe you just traveled some seconds into the past from one room to the other, making it all more simple. Am I wrong? Didn't I just say it? Yes. I also just said what my plan relies on. I must go back to the past, but I don't need to go too far. If I had another Sekimeiya hidden, what would the point of using this one be? I would just go back to the past with the other one I have, right? This is an actual question. If, as you say, I know where another Sekimeiya is, why would I not simply use that one? I don't know, but enlighten us. How come you weren't anywhere if you didn't use the Sekimeiya? Ah, you're just trying to be funny. You said you haven't touched the Sekimeiya, but you simply got caught up in the range of a travel you knew you'd create after traveling, right? So you didn't actually touch it. You just jumped 10 steps too far, Atsuki. It's baffling how easy it is to trick you. I really just relied on a trick I felt could work, which you might discover eventually. What trick? I don't feel like telling you. Take my word for it though, I did not travel with the Sekimeiya. There's no way. You weren't in hallway B. You could have only escaped by traveling to the past. Aren't you missing a really easy way I could have escaped? Huh? you know, I mean, I don't actually remember if Sai closed the door behind him when he exited the event room and kind of ran away. If he didn't, they would have seen him running that direction. Wait, was it this direction? What were they? I think it was hallway B, actually. That, wait. Let me actually... I'm gonna go up a bit here. Because I'm now curious. Okay. He dashed out of the room toward hallway B. Yeah. To prevent him from running out of our sight, I sprinted toward the door and glanced at the hallway. The problem with that is that the game actually doesn't tell us. Because logically, you'd think that with what he said, the door wasn't closed by Sai. Because Sai, I'm assuming, wanted to be quick as well, so, you know, wouldn't close the door. That's kind of what I think would be happening. But if he didn't close the door, then obviously Atsuki would have seen him run towards hallway, you know, towards... Wait. Atsuki would have seen him run down here. Although, wait, I can infer that from the other, from the rest of this, basically. I have to scroll up again. Because I'm pretty sure... Okay, Atsuki checked B6. So Atsuki checked this room, which means... I don't know how the hell Atsuki managed to not see that, but it means Atsuki did not know whether Sai had gone, you know, let me just say south or north, up or down. So Sai could have easily gone up and like just, you know, possibly just, you know, open the door to one of the bathrooms, slammed it shut again, ran, because at that point, if you went here, went up, opened the door, slammed it shut, and the next second immediately began running into hallway C, then that slight time frame is more than enough to get out of their sight. At that moment, he goes into the elevator, or up into floor 2. It doesn't really matter. I don't think they checked the elevator either way. Oh, they did actually. The elevator wasn't here. So he went up to floor 2, the staircase, just around the corner, and there he waited. He waited until Shiria was done checking hallway A, maybe just stealing glance every now and then, and then he just walked back down, walked into the event room, opened the cabinet. I don't know how he had the key, whatever, maybe he had it, who cares. But that's a very easy way to just escape from what I can gather that the game described to us and what it didn't describe to us, but, you know, was able to infer that from how Atsuki checked all of the rooms. I still don't know how it's possible that Atsuki could not have seen which direction he went, but whatever. Huh? Fine, I'll tell you. I don't need her cooperation any longer. What? Sorry, Shiria. I'm nullifying our deal. Atsuki deserves to know what happened. Okay. That's interesting. It was simple, Atsuki. The first room you went to was the cleaning room, right? You were close. I was in the staff room. So, okay. I'm not sure I believe that, but go on. The moment you entered it, I left. In the hallway, Shiria winked at me and let me escape. I feel too bad keeping you in the dark, honestly. What are you talking about? Why would I let you go? Feigning ignorance, huh? That's okay. You can keep lying to him for all I care. You're not gonna trick me, Sai. You used the Sekimeiya in some way. As if I'd ever side with you. You're a horrible person. That hurts. I really thought we had something going. I'm kidding, of course. I just used my invisibility cloak. Now I'll peace out and appear somewhere in the past. After I do what I need to do, I'll show up again, so you won't have to wait too long for me. From your perspective, I'll probably enter from the door as soon as I disappear. I bet a future version of me is waiting in the hallway B for his cue to enter. Stop, what do you even need to do? You said you didn't necessarily need to travel too far back. Why not? Perhaps you'll get something right for once if you keep thinking. I can definitely wait a little more. He put the cabinet key in his pocket, signaling that he could use his free hand at any time to activate the Sekimeiya. Fuck, we can't let him travel. I'm not sure what he's doing, but he just has to go a few minutes back in time. He might need it to escape from us in hallway B. That must be what we're missing. He's just trying to mess with my head by accusing Shirya. But if that's the case, is there a point in trying to stop him? He already escaped, so he's guaranteed to succeed. Wait, no, what am I thinking? When he took off toward hallway B, his goal was already to touch the Sekimeiya. He has another reason to use it, no matter what it is. It's still possible the travel he's about to perform will let him not be found though. I looked at Shirya's eyes. She was at my right, and silently she communicated to me that we had to stop him. He tried to kill me and had been holding a knife. Whatever his intentions were, we had to assume they weren't good. No more questions? We stood looking at each other. No matter how much he waited or what he said, he would never be at risk. I'm all ears. I might just go already though. Wait. I didn't know what to say. I was trying to think of a way to get the upper hand. Nothing? The seconds hadn't stopped ticking, and most of them had been filled with silence. Our disadvantage was too significant. Why are you not activating it? Throw me your guesses. Why am I not activating it? I had fun figuring my stuff out, but it's better if I can see how ignorant you still are. Why is he not activating it? He said he didn't care about traveling shortly into the past, but what else could it be? Yet again, silence kept passing while Sai looked unworried, ready to touch the Sekimeiya at any moment. Why are you so tense? I'm doing this to take care of one little thing, and you have no way to stop me. So instead of trying to do that, you can keep showing me how much you don't get. I can assure you I'll accomplish what I want, so relax a bit. When I disappear, I'll show up immediately, and I won't try to do anything to the Sekimeiya. Until then, though, I'm not in a hurry. The hell do you want then? Don't you want to keep begging for my knowledge? I'm sure you're curious about a bunch of things. You're the one who keeps refusing to answer. I bet you're trying to feel really smart. Right, I'm so smart that I turned myself on. It's true though, I suppose it's not fair if I won't answer anything. I had no issues sharing my thoughts with you. Remember at the beginning? I had no issues sharing my thoughts with you, but that changed at one point. There's no way you're dense enough to not know when. What, when the Sekimeiya made me travel? We found out we were next to a time travel device, yes. Then keeping everything to myself became the smarter option. I did not in any way suspect what the Sekimeiya would be capable of, but I was expecting something to occur. I thought I'd have to be very perceptive to understand what could be going on, but everything happened in front of our eyes. What were you expecting? Sin to attack? Yeah, but that was fairly obvious. However, I suppose I came across traces of the Sekimeiya some time ago. What? That's my answer. You were complaining I wasn't giving you any, so you have something to decipher if you please. That's a lot more fun than being straightforward for no reason. And tell me, why did you try to kill me and then stop? It's not like I understand everything. I'm partly humoring you for the hell of it, but I'd also like to hear what you think. For old time's sake, give me your best deductions. Why do you think? I told you that I have no idea. Hearing that I didn't know why you were chasing us seemed to be what made you stop, so you might have thought I'd done something. If you're telling the truth, that's enough of an answer. I suppose I have to think of a cryptic response from my point of view. I thought you'd overstepped, but it seems I was the one who had. What? You have no idea what I'm talking about. I understand, and it's great. I promise there's some meaning behind that, but don't think I'll be stupid enough to tell you anything undesirable. Now, tell me this. I thought about it a little, and I don't understand what you said regarding Akaru. He came back up to the bedroom and opened the door with the key, which was later left in the original drawer. So you really grabbed it when you were chasing us? You wanted to trap us in the bedroom? This is very confusing. Shut up for now. What exactly did he say and how did he escape? He said he didn't remember having escaped before, then he left again, probably the same way you did. I left out a lot of information purposely, and I didn't think he'd use the same method, but there was no way I'd give him an accurate response. But where was the key left after he escaped? You retrieved it at the end and were able to open the door, so we didn't leave it outside, right? That's very intriguing. I just glossed over it when you mentioned his reappearance, but I'm not certain about what to think anymore. When you let him enter, you made sure he didn't have a key on his person, right? Of course, we're not that stupid. Then there's only one way he could have disappeared. He let us know he wouldn't continue, but he must have been talking about the Sekimeiya. Where did you get this knife? No cryptic answers needed. I was honest earlier. You just found it, right? Good memory. I wanted to ask about what he'd said regarding Shirio's fate, but I couldn't bring myself to, with her next to me. Are you done? I'll repeat an earlier question. What the fuck are you trying to do now? I'm just finishing off your ignorance. What? How did I know you'd respond with a stupid sounding what? Did you not understand I'm purposely being unclear? Being told the answer is no fun. I'm sorry if you disagree. Why would I even assume you're not being misleading? Why would you assume that? Naturally you should keep it in mind, but understanding what I'm saying to then decide whether to trust it is what I'd advise. Are you not going to touch the Sekimeiya? Are you that eager to see me disappear? I will, don't worry. It's been 11 minutes already, so I'd have no problem leaving now. Where were you? Why did you not show yourself until now? I was here, searching for you. There's no way you didn't see us for so long. Well, it's not my problem if you're not content with my answers. I fell quiet again. I had no idea how to interpret his attitude, but I wouldn't refuse to ask more questions if he had some of his part to respond with. Why did I not find you in hallway B? Because you're incompetent. Where were you then? In hallway B. Who killed Kate? Either Akira or Erina. Who killed Erina? Me. I'm just kidding. It was Isla. I'm just kidding. Either Akira or Kate. I stopped caring about his behavior. Additionally, I'd found a reason to stall for time. You perfectly remember when we went up to the attic to get the lithium battery, right? Of course. How did you do that? I said you're incompetent, but at least you're doing your best unlike the others. That's my answer. I suppose it just appeared impressive from your point of view. Okay, then who killed Naomi? Who's the culprit behind everything? Culprit? Don't be silly. And I'm not sure why you're asking me this when I recall saying over and over that Kate did it. Then why the fuck were there two Naomis? That's a big one. I only have vague ideas, unfortunately, and none that I'm willing to share. You talk a lot, but you're not really saying anything. How did you escape from the bedroom? With this. He looked down at the Sekimeiya and signaled that it was his answer. What about this blood on the floor? Whose is it? No idea. What about in the lobby? It should have been left while you were alone with Akuro. You mean the one drop, right? What else would I mean? That's a great question. As you could only mean the one drop, we said I'd answer cryptically, right? If I'm right, that drop belongs to a person whose blood is not currently anywhere else, and they were one of the people who did not escape the attic's bedroom before Akuro and I did. Currently, that person is alive and is found inside a tower. Furthermore, I estimate they're on one of the first four floors standing up. What the fuck are you talking about, Sai? I mean, this is a very cryptic way of saying Shirio or me, probably. Because the person did not escape the attic's bedroom before Akuro and him. So, well, it says before, so he could just be talking about himself or Akuro. Realistically, he's talking about anyone in this tower that's still alive. Yeah. Okay. Also, their name starts with Shiro. You have time to think. Why would it be me? Did you actually see me? This is the part where a lot of things get a little confusing. A little too confusing. I'm not fully certain about what I'm saying, but decently so. Nonetheless, what I said about your fate still stands, and I'm much more certain about it, so my condolences. It appears it won't be me who will kill you, though. Why are you saying this? Because I have eyes. That might sound unfair, though you do too, but you don't understand. That's what I don't quite get. Regardless, that's it. I'll touch the Sekimeiya and immediately appear from hallway B. I'll see you. Before he could finish that sentence, Shiro and I dashed at him, reacting the way we'd prepared ourselves to. What are you? Of course we weren't going to stop him, we knew that, they wanted to travel with him. He was slightly taken aback, but he had more than enough time to touch the Sekimeiya before he got to him. However, that wasn't the only goal we could strive for. Alongside the stored time, the range of the Sekimeiya had to be small. If we could enter it before he touched it, we'd travel the same amount of time as him. Then, in the recent past, we'd have one chance to stop or understand his actions. As soon as he realized that was our plan, his face showed the first sign of uncertainty, and he rapidly moved his right arm to reach the Sekimeiya. It should have been futile. The room wasn't very big, and our sprint had put us fairly close to him. However, when his skin made contact with the Sekimeiya, his entire figure disappeared in an instant. In midair, the Sekimeiya turned grey, and when it hit the floor, the sound made it seem almost like it had broken. I stared at it, dumbfounded, while it rolled around for some long seconds. I guess we weren't fast enough.